Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Revolution Mindset. We're going to be looking at becoming money conscious. So we're moving from a different topic, a different module today, onto that of a money mindset, which filters nicely into the Revolution Mindset. If you're tuned in, please say hi, let me know you're here. You can see Matt Harima is tuned in. Thank you so much for being here. Anya's here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Adele, thank you so much for being here. It's really wonderful to see all of you here today. Now, as always, before we dive into today's content, please drop your wins, no matter how big, how small. Let's start with some positive energy with our achievements that we've achieved over the past week. Let me know your wins so we can celebrate them with you here today. Now, what are we going to be looking at today? So first of all, we're going to look at what does it mean to become money conscious. We're then going to start to look at how we can begin to understand our leaks, our money leaks. And we're going to look at what's known as the 50-30-20 rule that's going to help us use and manage our finances a lot better so we can invest and grow our finance in the future. So I'm going to come back to the comments. You'll see if there's anybody. Donna tuned in. Thank you so much for being here, Donna. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here. So as always, please share your wins. No matter how big, how small, we need to keep that momentum going. Every week, I ask you to share your wins so we can keep that positive energy flowing. We can keep that momentum going towards our goals. Lara's tuned in. It's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And whilst we're waiting for your wins to come through, just a key learning that we took from our last session. So in our last session, we looked all about accountability, the different types of accountability, and how we can start to use accountability to create our success. And remember how accountability is a replacement for lack of discipline. So if we can't discipline ourselves to take action, we need to find the right accountability partner, the right accountability group, or the right accountability functions and tools that are going to help us gain that discipline to take action and to succeed. But the bottom line of all that was accountability, whether it's with a group, whether it's with a person, whether it's with tools, it starts and ends with you, and you're the only person that can do the work. Turn up to accountability meetings, buying or purchasing or starting to use accountability tools is not the action. That's there to motivate you, to inspire you to then go and take the action. And only you can do that work. Your accountability tool, your accountability partner, your accountability group are not going to do the work for you. So I'm going to see if there's any wins coming in. So Donna is sharing, finished coaching course. It was fantastic. Let's celebrate that, Donna. That's absolutely wonderful that you did that. I've seen the pictures. It looked like you had a fantastic time and lots of learning in that space. Really wonderful stuff. Adela saying, I was productive in all areas of my life this week. How were you productive? Give me a little bit more information, but let's celebrate that production. What achievements did you get from that production? She said, I had an enjoyable week with lots of laughter. Enjoyable week, lots of laughter. That's great as well. Let's celebrate that. And I did a 3-day leadership seminar. How was that? Let me know how that was. That's absolutely wonderful that you completed that. It sounds like you've had a productive week. You've got lots of things done. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adele. That's really, really wonderful. Now let's go into today's session. So I just want to open up with a quote from Benjamin, who says that we must beware of little expenses because a small leak will sink a great ship. So we must beware of little expenses because a small leak will sink a great ship. And this fits quite nicely into today's session, session 21. We're talking about becoming money conscious and what that's all about. You're going to learn about in a second. But we need to identify where we might have small leaks in our finance that can cause our great ship of finance, our investment, our capital, our savings, or if we don't have savings, just our overall expenditure can sink that finance. So it's a good quote to think about and reflect upon. So beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. And you can look at this session in two ways. You can use it as personal yourself and how you manage your personal finances and become conscious of those. Or you can look at it from a business sense. And if you manage a business and you have a business, you can start to look at any leaks and identify any leaks that you might have with expenses in your business. So I've tailored this for personal finance, but you can expand that. You can think differently to apply this to a business as well, if that is going to be useful for you. So my first question is, how conscious are you of your money? How conscious are you of your money? What I mean by this is, do you know what your income is? And I don't want you to share your income, expenditure. I don't need to share any personal information here. I just want to answer this question that I'm really conscious, or I'm not so conscious, or I have no idea. I have no idea how much money I've got coming in. I have no idea on how much money's going out. I couldn't tell you a list of all the expenses and everything that I have to pay each month. How conscious are you of where your money's going, how that flow of money is going? Because what we're going to learn through this series of these 4 lessons is that money is an energy, and it's flowing into us, and we're flowing it out, we're giving it out. And how conscious we are is going to be dependent on how successful we are with using and managing our finance correctly. So how conscious are you of your money? Do you know what's coming in? Do you know when it comes in? Do you know what's going out? Do you know when it's going out? Think about that question. Donna saying, very aware and very respectful and grateful for when it comes my way. That's really beautiful, Donna. Thank you so much for sharing that. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't conscious of their expenses and where they're spending their money and how much they might spend eating out, how much they spend on entertainment, how much they spend on this, how much they spend on that. They might not be conscious of where their money's coming in or how much they're going to be getting each month because they don't want to look at their finance. So becoming conscious is that first step to really start to understand our finances and starting to be able to invest in our future. So thank you for sharing that, Donna. So becoming money conscious, what's it all about? So it's all about understanding our income and expenses. It's not burying our head in our sands and not checking our bank accounts and not understanding where the money's coming from or when it's coming in or where it's going out. It's actually taking time to understand, right? This is how much is coming in and this is how much is going out. How do I limit how much is going out and how do I increase how much is coming in? It's learning where we may have what is called money leaks. I'm going to talk about money leaks in just a second. It's exploring how we can cut that expenditure and increase our income. So the more conscious we become of our money, the more we can look at cutting costs. Again, this is personal finance, but you can do this with business. You can look at where you can cut costs and where you can increase income. How do you start it? And it's learning to invest our money in the right places or saving it for now in the right place with an eye to future to invest in the future. And don't worry, if you're in debt, if you're tuning in, you're watching this in debt and say, I've got so much debt, I can't even think about investing in the future or making savings, then this is the perfect session for you. Becoming money conscious is the perfect session for you because you need to understand what's coming in, what's going out, so you can start to, and you can work with great organizations out there. But here's some tips that you can take away from today to manage a debt plan and start to succeed as well. So don't think this is all about making so much money, and this is about becoming conscious of our money and how we can utilize and maximize what we have coming in and reduce what is going out so we can keep an eye on the future. So money leaks. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how much do you know about your expenses? Honestly, how much do you know about your expenses? Adrian's saying, I made a big decision this week that has bothered me for months and suddenly I feel free. So let's celebrate that. We're still celebrating achievements here. That's really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adrian. It's great that you suddenly feel free. And he's saying, I'm starting a new career. Well, that's exciting. Let us know what that is and what you're doing. But starting a new career is super exciting. So how much do you know about your expenses? Do you know how much you spend on food? Do you know how much you spend on eating out? Do you know how much you spend on entertainment? Are you one of these people that has Netflix, Disney Plus, Now TV, whatever else is out there, Stars? There's that many different streaming platforms. Do you pay for them all? And how many of them do you actually use? Do you know how much you invest in your gym? How much you spend on shopping, is in shopping things for yourself, items? Donna is saying a lot, and sometimes it feels too much. So how do you look to cut that if it feels too much? Is it a necessity? We're going to look at something that might help with that a little bit later on. Adrian says not nearly enough. A lot of us, when we're starting in that flow, we're not conscious of our money, we tend to spend a lot more than we actually need to spend. And it can be for a different number of reasons. It can be to bring us satisfaction. It can be for what people term retail therapy. It can be just because we feel like we must have it because everybody else has it. So becoming money conscious is about starting to look at where our expenses. When we start to understand our expenses, I can see Adele is saying, I'm aware and monitoring it. That's absolutely fantastic. And you can do this from a business sense or personal sense as well. So you can identify leaks in your business or leaks in your personal finance. But what happens is money leaks. So if we aren't aware of our expenses or what's going out, we can have what is known as a money leak. And when we look at money leaks, there's some questions that we can ask. So where is our money going? So we get income coming in every month. We get it from different places, maybe, or from our job or a salary, or maybe we rent something out, or maybe we have a side business, but we get money coming in. But do we know where it is going? Are we really conscious of where we're spending our money? How are our expenses being utilized? So how are your expenses being utilized? Are you actually using what you're actually paying for? Or are you just wasting your money spending for a subscription that you're not using? Where are you overspending? Are you spending too much on something that you're not giving yourself enough time or enough money to invest and save for the future? What are your necessities and your wants? It's really important for us to understand what we need and what we want. And if we spend more on what we need and less on what we want, we can free up some space to invest in the future. And the other question is, how can we fix the leak? So if we do have a money leak in our expenses that we're unaware of, how do we fix that? How do we fix that so we can start to think about the future and future investment? So the question I have is, can you think of anything you're paying for that you do not need? What are you paying for that you do not need? This is a good sign of a money leak, something that you're paying for that you do not need. The same question I ask is, do I need it or do I want it? Beautiful. That is excellent. That is the necessity question there, the wants and needs. Adrian says, in the past, I kept wondering where my money goes every month till I started calculating every and only buy what's necessary. Now, it's important. It's important to be conscious. So today is all about becoming conscious of what's coming in and what's going out. Where is our money going? So we can spot these leaks. Remember, the quote at the beginning of this session was by Benjamin Franklin, that beware of little expenses because a small leak can sink a great ship. So catching it early, catching where you'll spend your money and where you can stop those leaks and fix those leaks to invest in your future, in your business, in yourself, in your personal growth will really help you grow. So Adrian saying, I'm going into network marketing and reputable company. Very excited. That sounds really good. Thank you for sharing that, Adrian. Definitely Netflix. So Netflix is one that a lot of people pay for, or Disney Plus, or things like that they don't use. Donna says, I've cancelled all external subscriptions that will not benefit my business or my mental well-being. And that's really wonderful. It sounds like you've done this work where those leaks are, and you start to fix that by canceling it. Adrian says, and I spend too money on smokes. Smoking is a big expense leak. Smoke, alcohol, any bad habits, any addictions that we have is a really bad leak, money leak. So how do we start to cut that down? How do we look at cutting less on that? So let's take a look at what money leaks are. So a bit of example. So maybe I've just mentioned bad habits there. So smoking, drinking, that sort of stuff. Maybe you go out every Friday, Saturday, you spend a lot of money on alcohol and having a night out. That can be seen as a money leak. And yes, you can say you want to enjoy yourself, but what is it actually giving you for your future? What is it giving you for your success, for your goals? Next one is your gym membership. So a lot of people might be paying for a gym membership. How often do you go to the gym? How often do you use that? Now, if you're a person that has a gym membership and you go every week really religiously, that's fine. That's not a money leak. But I know a lot of people that are paying for a gym membership that just sits there that they're not using. So be mindful. That's an example of a possible money leak. So it's something that you are spending that you're not using, that is not giving you benefit, as Donna says, that is not improving your physical or your mental well-being or supporting your business or your goals. The subscription you're paying for monthly, whether that be Netflix, whether it be a subscription for, I don't know, a newsletter, whether it be a subscription for some personal growth, or whether it's something that you're not actually using. Remember, it's got to be something that you're not using. So think about the subscriptions that you're paying for that you're not actually using. So if that's a monthly leak, if you're not using it, if you're not utilizing what it is you're spending, it's not giving you any benefit and growth, then that is a money leak. Unnecessary insurance. A lot of people pay unnecessary insurance, maybe for their phone, maybe your phone's a year old now, you don't need to have insurance. I'm not saying don't get insurance, but just ask yourself that question: do I need to insure my phone? Do I need to insure this? Do I need insurance for that? Now, I'm not getting into business insurance here. There's certain insurances that you must have: housing insurance, business insurance, that sort of stuff. But think about the items. I know people that insure laptops, but their laptops are now 3 years old. One I identified is I was insuring an iPad that I forgot about, and I was paying something like £3-4 a month, and I've had that iPad for 4 or 5 years, but I was still paying the insurance for it. So I wasn't conscious of what was coming and going out. So just be mindful of any unnecessary insurance that you might be paying for. That could be a leak. High expenditure on fast food. So if you find yourself spending a lot of money on takeaways, a lot of money on fast food every week, that is an expenditure. That's a money leak, because you can cut the costs of that. You can look at cooking at home. You can look at getting a takeaway maybe just once or twice a week, and you can cut costs and stop leaking so much money into fast food. And then the other one I put on there is daily travel costs. Now, we live in a world where we don't have to travel every day, but maybe we have to travel to work or we have to commute. But how do we look to make sure that it's not a money leak? Are we investing the best possible thing? If we're getting public transport, are we getting a month's pass or a week's pass rather than paying individually every day? So a leak could be in a daily cost that we could save by paying for a longer term. So we save that leak. If it's something we definitely need, how do we start to cut costs and avoid leaking money with those daily costs? So there's some examples of money leaks. This is not all. There's a lot of other money leaks out there, but essentially what we're looking for when we review our finance is things that we're paying too much for, or things that we're paying for that we don't need. It's not serving us, and we need to recoup that money and invest it somewhere else. So to fix it, what we do is we cancel that subscription, we stop using that subscription, or we cut that costs, and we look at where we can make that flow of money go somewhere else for our future benefit. Donna says, I spent too much on supporting others, and that came from giving my most precious commodity, my time. So, yep, time is a commodity, and that's given a lot to others. But today we're focusing on becoming money conscious. So, we're not going to get into time today. I'm with you, Donna. Hard lesson learned. Yep, Adele, a great growth lesson. So, yep, we've covered all managing our energy, our time, what we give, what we don't give. Today, we're focusing just on money as part of the money mindset module. So what I'd like to introduce you to, if you've heard of this, let me know, but this is a good starting place for you to successfully manage your finances. And it's what's known as the 50-30-20 rule. And this can be really helpful, whether you're in debt, whether you're in a good place financially, whether you have sight of your finances and you know what's coming in and what's going out. If you make a shift to this 50-30-20 rule, it's a good starting point for success in the future. And what the 50-30-20 rule allows us to do is allows us to help us to think about future investment. It's a method for us to start building up some capital, and it's a revolutionary mindset that understands the importance of investment for the future. So by understanding and applying this 50-30-20 rule, we can manage our finances a little bit better for a more successful future with our goals, with our business, with our personal growth, with our development, whatever it is we want to invest on. And this is, so first off, it's 50. So 50% of our income should generally go on our essential expenses. So allocate around 50% of your income towards essential expenses, which typically include the following. So your housing, whether that be a mortgage, rent, whatever, it should go towards your housing, your utilities, your transportation, and your food. So 50%, so a healthy way of managing finances, 50% of what you've got coming in should go towards these four important essentials: housing, utilities, transportation, and food. Whether transportation be a car or whether it be public transport, whatever it is, this is typically a healthy standard of 50% go towards these. So we can ask ourselves the questions here: how much of my income do I actually spend on these essentials, and am I spending too much? Am I spending too much on rent? Am I spending too much on utilities? Utilities is a bit of a sore subject at the minute across the world because the price of those are rising. So we need to look at that a little bit differently and think and reflect about that a little bit differently. But we'll have that discussion in our practical workshop in 10 minutes' time. transport and petrol. How do we cut those costs? Are we having do we have a car finance that is too high for us? How do we start to look at changing the cost of transportation? Food. Are we spending too much on food? Do we get 5, 6 takeaways a week? Do we eat out too much? Are we spending too much on food? How do we cut that down? So essentially, if you want a healthy financial plan to manage your finances, 50% should be going on these 4 essentials. Now, I'm sure you can guess the next point, the 30 rule, 30%. Where does 30% of our income go? So if you want to have a healthy finance, 30% of our income should go on discretionary expenses. So remember, this is just a starting point. Maybe you don't spend so much on this and you spend a bit more on your housing utilities, or you actually want to invest more. But reserve approximately 30% of your income for discretionary expenses. And this category covers non-essential items, activities such as, so this is your entertainment and recreation activities. It's whatever you enjoy, whether it's gaming, whether it's Netflix, whether it's your subscriptions, whatever. Just make sure you're not spending over 30% on all of these collectively together. If you want to make a shift, choose education over entertainment, but that's a different question altogether. But essentially 30% on these 4 items will give you a healthy balance, a good way to manage your finance. Again, dine out, travel, and shopping. So that should be what we mean by shopping there. It's things that you buy that you don't really need, but you just want because it makes you feel better. Maybe some new clothes, maybe a new game, maybe something for the house, whatever it is. But essentially 30% should be set for discretionary expenses for us to enjoy ourselves and start to invest in things that are for us. And you'll probably find that actually maybe you don't invest a lot in entertainment. So for example, I don't invest a lot in entertainment, but I invest more in travel and dining out. So for me, would be dine out and travel. I don't spend a lot on shopping either. So you can see that you have to spend on all these 4 things, but 30% should be going towards these. And then finally, the last one, 20% of income should be going towards our financial goals and savings. So dedicate at least 20% of your income towards your financial goals and savings. So financial goals might be what you want to save in the future, what you want to invest in the future, or that financial goal might just be getting out of debt. So if you put 20% of your income to pay off that debt and get into a healthy space, in the future, if you continue this model, you can then start to grow. So you might be starting a little bit behind because you maybe been bad with your finance in the past and you have a lot of debt to repay. This model will still work for you. It will still help you get to that point where you can pay that debt off and get to a more healthy financial future. So this category is crucial for long-term financial security and achieving your objectives, such as, so this is for your savings, your retirement contributions, your debt repayments, your personal growth, improving your skills, investments, putting money into a side business, whatever it is. But this is the most important. It's the question we want to ask ourselves from today is, if I was to look at all my finance, if I was to become conscious of my finance, what percentage of what I have coming in is going towards my financial goals and savings? So this is the most important. 50-30, you can mix and match that. I wouldn't advise you to extend the 30 on entertainment, travel, and shopping. So you're cutting your utility costs and your housing and the essentials. But we need to look at how much is going towards our financial goals and savings. Are we putting 20% of what is coming in towards our financial goals and our future self? Or are we spending too much on housing, on our essentials, too much on our discretionary expenses that actually we are putting nothing, or maybe 1% or 2% into our financial goals and savings? And the money leaks and things that fall into the 30% here. So it's not an extensive list, but people mention smoking, people mention drinking, your alcohol. This would fall under this. This is the one that you don't want to be spending over 30% on. So you want to be spending less than 30%. And maybe you have to cover to get the essential items because housing's gone up, rent's gone up, utilities gone up, maybe food's gone up. Cost of living goes up and down. Cost of living is constantly on the rise. So you maybe have to cut from this one to build and make sure you're affording these. But never, ever sacrifice this one to satisfy this one. So never sacrifice your financial goals and savings to accommodate your, and we live in a world of instant gratification, to accommodate your instant gratification through your discretionary expenses. So have a look. We're going to go into the workshop. We're going to review our finances. I'm not going to be asking you for any personal information. I'm just going to give you guidance and the tools to go through so you can look at what you're spending and start to calculate how much percentage is going towards my financial goals and how can I make that 20%. What finance is going towards my essentials, which finance is going to my discretionary items, and how can I make some changes and amendments so I start to get to a more healthy space. But of the whole 50-30-20 rule, this one is important for your future. So look at how you can edit these to get to a point where you're investing 20% for your future. And that leads me nicely on to the week challenge, which is to review and become conscious of your money. What are you spending? What are you earning? And how can you make that shift to the 50-30-20? As I mentioned, the 50 is essential. That might have to increase, but don't cut your savings and your future investments. Try and cut your discretionary expenses, your shopping, your entertainment, your smoking, your alcohol, the stuff that is bad for you, that's not serving you well. How do you cut that to fill in that gap that you might need for your essentials and focus on the 20%? So that is your task for the week. And I'll leave you with this thought that a revolutionary mindset, which is what this course is all about, this program is all about, holds the ability to minimize their expenditure and maximize their income. Now, one thing I haven't gone into is how you can start to maximize your income. You have that 20%. When you get to that point, there's a starting point. You have that 20% where you're investing. This is when you can start to look at strategies and tactics to maximize your savings, maximize your investments so you can earn more for a more sustainable future and a more healthy financial security in the future. So that is the thought to leave with today. Today, we're going to go into our workshop in 3 minutes time, which is understanding our income expenses, reviewing our finance. Then we're going to shift how we can make that shift to the 50-30 rule. Again, I'm not going to be asking you for any personal information. I'm just going to be guiding you through questions and things for you to think about and write down. Then we're going to look at developing an action plan so you can have a more healthy financial management that is going to give you security in the future. We'll also talk about how we can look at some ways of savings and investments that we have, how you can start to maximize that income, make sure you're careful with where you invest it, what you can invest in that's going to help you grow for that financial security in the future. And the next session next week is going to be developing an abundance mindset. We're going to expand on this and we're going to look at what a scarcity mindset is, what an abundance mindset is, and how we can make tracks to move to a more abundance mindset. And so to understand the concept more that money is an energy. And the more grateful and appreciative we are towards it, the more we will attract. And as always, you can become a revolutionary. You can join me in my coaching room. You can catch all, maybe this is the first session you're watching, you can catch all the replays in my coaching room at hub.coachingminds.co.uk. Just go down the left-hand column and find the Revolution Mindset. You can join that there. This is the point where I ask if you have any questions on anything that you are sharing right now. So Donna says, I would say mine is around 60, 15, 25. That's good. If the 25 is on your future savings and investment, that's absolutely good. That's roundabout healthy. We can't always look at control our essential costs, our essential expenses. The important point is not to sacrifice the savings and the financial goals for the discretionary expenses and the things that we want. So it's a good point. Just checking these to bring some through, see if there's any questions. Adrian says, I've heard it, but never done it. It is really interesting. It's really interesting to do this, to become conscious of your money. So the money mindset and becoming money conscious is all about understanding where our money's going, what's coming in, how we can cut it, and how we can get a more healthy financial management for our future security. And we're going to go deeper in the workshop in 1 minute's time. If you don't have access, drop me a message. I will give you a link to the workshop if you want to learn more and connect more. Donna's saying thank you. Priya's saying thank you. We'll surely work on this. Thank you so much, Priya, for being here. Lara's saying thank you as well. So thank yous coming in. Really appreciate you all. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your time. I hope it's given you some things to reflect on. Don't become one of these people that bury your head in the sands and avoid looking at your finance because you feel you've got too much going out. Take the time to sit down, work through it, become conscious of it, and look at how you can make that shift to really succeed for your future security. We do a lot of personal growth, a lot of personal development. It's important for us to also look at our finance because if we invest more in our personal development, in our growth, in our businesses, we are going to have a better future. Money is the energy that makes the world go round. We're going to have some talks and discussions on that later on, but just remember, it is an essential. We have to have it in order to succeed. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Adrian. It's really wonderful to see you. Interested to hear more about your new career, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Have a wonderful day, even wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch up with you all very soon.